Welcome everybody, welcome everybody, welcome everybody. We are back on it. This is the Beat Tape Breakdown. Got a special guest, one of the super dope producers in the city. Goes by the name of Bombay. Welcome Bombay to the platform. We got an hour, we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna go from A to Z, Z to A, and find out the magic behind the mystique behind the magic, to figure it all out with Bombay. We see a lot of crazy IG videos circulating of him just going crazy. And I guess we can see some of the tools right behind him, some of the pots, the pans, anything goes in production. So whatever you could
Yes,
find.
sir. Yes, sir.
What
Whatever I can use, man.
Right, right. That's
You
the
know?
essence of real production, and we definitely appreciate that. We definitely tune in, and check out all those experimental, just random sounds that become actual productions and actual compositions. So it's dope that you actually put that out there. But let's get started. So we got a beat tape out. It's called Zine. Zine. I want to hear you say it. I know how I say it.
Zine.
Okay,
Zine.
okay,
You
okay,
know?
okay. Toronto
Yeah.
understand. Toronto gets it.
Yeah, Zine, you know?
Okay, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So let's get back. Let's start from the top. We're gonna get into the beat tape for sure. We got 10 tracks. I think it's 10, maybe 11.
Yeah.
But I know they're all fire, and we're gonna get to each and every one of them and get a breakdown of the madness behind each and every one. But to start it off, what can you tell us about Bombay, the name, where it came from? How did you get the name? Just give us a little history on the name and how you also got started as a producer.
For sure, man. So my name Bombay, it came from my dad. I was very close to my dad. So when we used to go to India a lot of the time, we used to go to Mumbai or Bombay, and that was, living in the Middle East and then going to Bombay a lot of the time. It was like a complete like culture shift, man, because in the Middle East we had everything, all like, we had like all the riches and the luxuries, and then we're in Bombay, like we're in the slums, because we had a house there. So like a lot of my best memories with my dad were in Bombay, So it's kind of like a dedication to him. And
Okay.
then it's just the name that just kind of stuck to me, you know what I mean? And people, they once I said my name was Bombay, they're like, "Oh, cool.
Right.
Okay, they remember that." You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, when it came to music production, I started I think around like 2011. So I was in university, and I really wasn't into like the frat parties and those kind of things, man. So like I would literally just like go study for my tests, midterms or whatever, and then like I would I would, instead of like drinking or whatever, I would just like listen to a lot of records and learn about sampling and
Right.
things like that, right? So I started on Fruity Loops, and then I went into Ableton. And then from there, man, I just learned about like different like amazing artists like Lonnie Liston Smith, Dexter Wenzel,
Right.
Parliament Funkadelic, and I was like,
Wow.
yo, all these records I didn't know were sampled. When I used to listen
Right.
to like Gangstar, I thought those beats people were actually playing them. You know what I'm saying? And I was like,
Right.
yo. And then we actually hear the originals. We're like, yo, these guys were on one. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like the
Right.
drums to like the melodies and the chords. So I really resonated with that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
And yeah, man, my production is trying to like, I when I first started making music, it was like really boom bap heavy. You know what I mean? Like, and it still is to an extent. But like, I'm trying to move it a little bit to like an R&B house kind of direction, because that's the stuff I grew up on.
Right. Right.
So yeah, man.
Now you
Yeah.
mentioned Gangstar, you mentioned Funkadelic. Who were some of the producers that, if someone was to give you name your top five, who would you consider your top five hip hop producers that were most
But
instrumental in your sound?
okay, number one, we the Neptunes. Uh,
Mm.
number two, Timbaland. Dilla. Um, Kanye West. And number five would probably be like yeah, it would be DJ Premier. DJ Premier, Pete Rock, they'll be like tied,
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah, man. But like there's no like order, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to get
Right. Right.
misconstrued.
Right. Right.
There's
Right.
no
No,
order,
like
bro. They're all goats to me,
right,
man, you
right.
know?
I mean, those are like the usual suspects, especially for Toronto producers. Like we've interviewed people back in 2005, and it was the same list. They might have had Dre in there, would have been the only difference, but Primo's always there. Pete Rock, Tim, Nep, Kanye.
Yeah,
Um,
bro, it's so crazy because it's like it's just how you feel, right? Like because when I growing up listening to like hip hop music in the Middle East, we didn't have that much accessibility in Qatar. So like when I heard my first hip hop song was the Neptunes. It was
Right.
produced by the Neptunes, and it was Jay-Z on it. You know, so like I'm like, yo, this sounds amazing. Because
Right.
before this was like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like pop music. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. One
So I
extreme to the
heard the
other.
Neptunes, and I was like, yo, the way they use percussion, and then Timbaland when he uses like Indian samples. Dilla was just different because I heard of De La Soul and like Tribe and stuff like that through like
Right.
Dilla's sound, right?
Right.
I was
Right.
like, yo, this guy has a nice bounce to his music. So, you know, everyone has a piece of their identity in their music,
Most definitely. Most
And yeah,
definitely.
man,
I
it's
seen you. I
that's
seen you
the
drop
greatest thing.
something recently with a Dilla. I think because it was Dilla Day recently. Was it a what is
Oh
it? Was
yeah.
it a tape you put out or just like a beat or something?
No, bro, so like so like starting like I think January, I started like doing like animation, like learning how to do animation.
Right.
So like that's just like a little side thing I did. So that's just like me like basically taking images and sketching them out and then doing like animations.
Okay.
And then from there like adding music to it, right? So
Right.
I want to use that for my projects in the future. But it just that was just a little quick one two I did for Dilla, man.
Okay. Okay.
It was a super dope way to show my love,
Right.
to
Right.
one of the
Right.
guys who made me have those slumpy drums,
A
man,
big part of it. I mean, we had a we
Yeah.
because we used to have categories back in the early days, Battle of the Beatmakers. So we actually added a category just in honor of Dilla, like a remix version of it. So Dilla was always a big part of hip hop, always a big part of hip hop production. So we definitely salute R.I.P. to the great Jay Dilla. So we're gonna get into the beat tape. We're gonna start with Crush to set it
Yeah.
off, set the tone for today. So Bombay, this is off the Zine beat tape, and the track is called Crush. I'm gonna drop this for a minute or so check it out.
Every time we touch, it's just some little thing. Not like everything I do is on
That was nasty. What's the artist that song? I know the song. I'm just trying to think of the artist
Oh,
of it.
so this is it's Jennifer Page. So I think she had a song back in in the late
That might be the
90s.
'80s even.
I think it was 90s. Yeah,
'90s.
Jennifer
Okay.
Page. Yeah,
Okay.
bro. So like that's I remember that because like I remember when we had like what was it? We had like kind of like an MTV knockoff back in Qatar.
Right.
So like they used to play that song, and I was like, as a kid, I was like, yo, this sounds dope. And
Really dope.
as yeah, man, as a producer, you have like certain like songs, right? And you're just like, I want to flip that. I want to like, and like you always try to go back to it, and then I flipped it like crap, like 50 different ways, dude. And
Right.
I'm just like, I found this way, and I was like, I like this.
Wow.
Um, and like that's like every producer has that thing, man. They have like that one sample, like one record,
Right.
that one acapella they want to flip, and they have like they try it different ways, but sometimes it doesn't work out. But then when you find that, you just feel it. You're like, boom,
Right.
that's the way. So
Right.
I found it. You know what I'm saying?
I get a sense a lot of your inspiration for your production seems to stem from back home somehow. Either as you mentioned, a song you heard growing up on TV or something with your father. Like a lot of your influence seems to come from your past life, I'll say.
Oh yeah, man, for sure, man. Because like the like Qatar like made me like who I am, right? Because
Right.
if it wasn't, man, like I feel I mean if I was raised in like in Toronto or like Brooklyn, I'll be completely different. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but if I'm living halfway across the world and then like coming to Toronto, even going to like New York or LA, I bring my own kind of characteristic to like
Right.
even my personality and the way I talk to people, right? And
Right.
it's crazy, man. I would go to New York and we used to what's you had Smack DVD, right? Back in the day,
Yep.
like 05, 06. So LimeWire, I used to download like the battles like Meek was it like Murder Mook versus Loaded
Right.
Lux,
Right.
and
Right.
stuff like that. And I would go to New York and I would chop it up with some of my friends there. They'd be like, "Yo, how did you know this stuff?" I'm
Right.
like, "Bro, I had a lot of time." Like,
Right. Right. Right.
but that's one of the things, man.
Okay.
Like,
What's also interesting because I always try to
yeah,
tell people the diversity of Toronto, and they might not get it hearing from one person all the time, but it's
yeah,
interesting to have someone like yourself to explain. Like a lot of people in Toronto are new to Canada, new to Toronto. Their first generation, and that's why Toronto kind of has kind of a distinct kind of flavor to it because it's just a melting pot of so many cultures merged into one city. So you're hearing it first directly from someone as we describe it, someone first generation to Canada, bringing their own flavor to it, and stirring that up, and you get what you get. So it's always interesting. What is your take on that vibe in general of just Toronto being full of different diverse cultures and creating a sound which is kind of like a mashup of all those different cultures?
yeah. I mean, the one culture that resonated very very heavy with me was dancehall, like the
Right,
Jamaican, the Caribbean culture, man. Like
right,
that is amazing. Like hearing like dancehall and like in all its glory in Toronto,
right,
crazy,
right,
crazy. And I still like I'm still trying to find a 1-2 jam, bro. But like
right,
COVID,
right, right,
because I always want to go to those kind of parties. You know what I mean?
right.
But yeah, man, the Caribbean, that is amazing. That's just to me, that's like, mixing like a lot of those jazz elements, like a lot of those like R&B jazz elements with like Caribbean culture,
Right.
even mixing some, those kind of chord structures and things like that with like, Indian culture as well, right? It's just there's so much to work with
Oh,
in
I've
in the
seen you do
city.
the Indian culture live on stage and
Oh,
tear
bro,
and
trust me,
tear the place down. So
trust me, yeah,
they were
yeah,
just waiting for that. Like that
yeah,
set off the whole battle, just bringing that culture because that's what Toronto knows. It's a mix of everything. So you might strike a chord with a Russian person in the crowd by dropping some kind of Russian kind of sample or something. They go crazy. You might drop
yeah,
some kind of Spanish salsa, cha-cha, and you just resonate with the Spanish demographic within Toronto, and they go crazy. So Indian population is also very huge in Toronto, and so if you drop something like that, you're gonna get a response. So
that's a fact. That's
it's
a fact,
definitely
man.
dope.
Yeah.
The album of the cover, for those that don't know, and I'm just going back to that real quick. What does that mean for those that don't know? Because they're gonna hear it and say Zin, Zun, Zin. What is that?
Seeing is just kind of like, yo, like I see you. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like I see you, bro. Like I see you doing your thing.
right,
That kind of it's kind of a slang I used to hear in the studio all the time, man.
right, right.
Zine,
Okay.
roll that Zine.
That's old
Yeah.
Rastafarian lingo for those that don't know.
Yeah.
That's who originated it. The term is more like a Rastafarian lingo, like scene, like whatever you're saying, I see it. I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. Over
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
understand, overstand. You know what I mean? So, salute, salute, salute. Let's get into the second track. It's called KO. Sound like a battle title already off the rip. It's knocking somebody out, knocking another producer out. But let's get into it. KO, second track off the Zine beat tape from Bombay. Let's get it.
Are you ready? Bombay shit.
That's another crazy one. That's real. What inspired that beat? Like the sound effects in that, because a lot of these beats are, as I say to a lot of producers, they're kind of teasing you. They're just giving you a snippet. You really want to hear like 4 or 5 minutes of it, and it's like a minute's up. It's like, damn. You know?
Yeah, man.
And I guess
Like
I guess that's the nature of a beat tape. You just want to kind of seduce them on the hook to get them to, get involved with the
exactly.
rest of it.
Like I format a lot of my beats to be like 1 minute, right? Because like just for Instagram purposes, and even like when I transition to TikTok, it has to be even shorter, right?
Right.
So I just keep everything to a minute, show what I can do, and just make it like a good vibe, right?
Right.
So with like the inspiration for this one was like so you said the sounds. So the sounds, like I just use a lot of percussion. So I think I had a cowbell in there, and
Right.
I had a couple of claves. And what I usually do is like I'll play everything. I'll play the drums first, just like a kick and a snare,
Right.
and then I'll resample everything and then like mess around with it. Like I'll re-chop my drums,
Okay.
and basically just to add a little texture to it. But like I like recording the percussion, man, because there's like a lot of clarity to it,
Right.
and it's fun, man, because like you just resample whatever you're playing, right? I can take a mug and I can just take my phone and just like, you know,
Right. Right.
do whatever I want with it. And then like with all the audio software we have, like all these DAWs, you get to resample stuff, add effects to it, and then just keep going down this rabbit hole, and you just make like the coolest sound that only you can make. You feel me?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and that's like what production is about to me, and that's like your creativity is really being shown to
Right.
the world, right?
What does
And
it take?
not everyone can replicate it. Yeah.
Right, right. What does it take you to get in a creative space to begin with? Like, what you wake up and you just think of a cup and start clacking on a cup? Like, what? Explain the process. Like, how does a studio session, how does a production session start with Bombay? Is it you just heard something and randomly and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna take that sound and then that's the beginning of it? Like, how does a session? Do you got to get in the zone? Do you got to drink some tea, some coffee? Like, what does it take to get you in
Definitely
that creative
coffee.
zone?
Like, so usually like I wake up, do some stretches, like meditate a little, I meditate, journal, just write about like my feelings and things like that. And then from there, like I'll listen to a lot of funk music in the morning too, right? Like
Okay.
Brass Construction and like James Brown,
Heavy,
Fred
heavy.
Wesley. Huh? Yeah, bro. Because dude, like Brass Construction, for example, those guys they use like the drums are very like funky,
Right.
and it's all like I believe in vibration and things like that. So like when you're up in that vibration, like you also start to feel like good about yourself, and you start to feel
100%.
the grooves. You know what I'm saying? So like I'll like basically use that as like a template, and I'll start like going with the tambourines. I'll play the drums a little bit, and then from there like I'll just come up with ideas. And then some days, man, I'll just like I'll just kind of like watch like anime and like just chill out for a bit, and
Right.
then but still listen to like different types of music. I'll like
Right.
go on Spotify. Spotify is a great tool because like literally I would just go down, like I'll check out different playlists from like artists from the Middle East, from
Right.
India, from Mexico, whatever, right? And you just find new stuff as you keep going.
Right.
But yeah, man, it just changes day to day. Sometimes I'm working with an artist. Like I think one time I was working with someone down at a studio, and what happened was like I didn't have my percussion with me, but they were rolling a blunt,
Right.
and they had a tray, and I had scissors, right? I don't really smoke, so I was just like, yo, can I use that after you guys are done? They're like, yeah, bet. We set up a microphone, and literally I made percussion with the grinder, with
Wow.
the plate and the scissors, and then we made a beat out of it, and that took like what, like an hour,
Right.
and we had the verse laid down and everything, man, and that was
Wow.
and those guys were more impressed. Like I'm like, bro,
Right. Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
and
That's
I was like,
interesting.
yeah, man.
I've heard of many sounds. I've never thought of like a weed crusher as an instrument.
You just clack the grinder,
Right.
and then just do this,
Right.
and then the scissors you hit it just for like a little effect, and I use the plate sometimes just to like I might use the scissor just to scrap around the
Yeah,
plate.
that would work
You know
too.
what I'm saying? So just weird stuff like this, man.
Wow.
And like it sounds sexy, but when you do it, sometimes it's kind of like if
Right.
you just walk in the studio, you're like, yo, what's this guy doing? But he's just like, yo, trust me,
Right. As I say all the time, those
Yeah,
are the two
man.
magic words in Toronto. Trust me.
Trust me, dog. Yo, I got you. Like,
Right. Right. Right.
You know?
Are you more of a solo creator, or you don't mind like having the team around you, group of people around you, or you prefer just to
Oh,
do your thing by yourself?
always love a group of people around me, man. Like I always like, I've learned to make music by myself. This is just from like being like moving here and like not knowing anyone. But like some of my close collaborators, like Tink, Junior, Ice, the one, those guys like really put me in that zone, like because we all just like the same kind of music and we all just vibe, right?
Right.
I've gotten used to making music by myself, but once you start working with like other people, you will like that feeling, right? Because everyone brings their own sauce, and you're like, yo, I like how this guy plays the keys.
Right.
I
Right.
like how she does the bass, and that way it definitely it shows you more about like what production's about, right?
Right.
Making beats alone is cool, but I really feel like you get to really show your whole toolbox when you work with other people,
Right.
and especially people you vibe with.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say that who's on the same frequency as you also definitely helps, because if you're on left field and they're on right field, sometimes it doesn't. The energy is not right. But if you guys are vibing on the same frequency, then it's like a marriage.
magic, man, magic,
Right.
magic,
Right. Right.
super.
All right, let's get to another track off the Zine beat tape by Bombay. This one is called Lagos, as in Nigeria Lagos, or another
Yeah,
reason for.
Lagos, yeah, man,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Shout out to all the Nigerians in the building.
yeah, man.
Niger, huge, crazy, doing amazing things with Afro beats right now, like killing the streaming game, like totally decimating the
Amazing,
streaming game right now. So shout out to all the
amazing.
artists, Burner Boy, WizKid, Davido, and there's a whole long list of other artists. But anyway, let's get into Lagos, Bombay. Let's do it. Crazy, crazy. Give us a little background on the Nigerian, why Lagos, and why that title for the track? What is the impact or influence that Nigeria has in your sound or in that particular track?
Like so when I made like the drums, I was listening. I still listen to like a lot of Afrobeat too. Like just when I'm like hanging out,
Right,
because it has a lot of positive energy in their music. And like Lagos is one of the places I really want to visit, man. Like when this whole situation is done with. I've been to
right,
Kenya before, but and like even in like Nairobi, the vibe is so crazy.
right,
And like Lagos is like one of the destinations I want to go to with Jamaica, like Jamaica as well.
right.
So like with that one, I remember like when I made the drum beat, I was listening to like the WizKid's new album, right? And I was just like, I just had like that groove, like
I heard it's
you
fire.
know,
I never got to listen to all of it, but I heard it's fire.
it's amazing, dude. I'm just like, yo, how this guy is he's like inspired 24/7, dude. Like,
Right, right,
and it's
right,
crazy because a lot of I'm not found like unless like my playlist is just like my liked playlist like on Spotify of like it's just mostly Afrobeat now. It's just like like Davido, WizKid, Thames. It's just filled with that, man. It's
right,
just like the vibe is so dope, and like even like a lot of UK artists, they take a lot of like those drum patterns and the swing in their music too, right? And
right,
that's really cool. So
right,
yeah, I just like when I made that beat, I was really feeling like that, like those kind of drums, like boom, boom, you know.
right, right.
And then from there, like I had like a shaker and some tambourines. You guys probably hear in the background, just like just messing around, things like that.
Right.
And then yeah, from there, like I just added my own like chord sauce to it. I like using like a lot of vocal samples, like chops,
Okay.
just to like add like the little grown and sexy, you know what I'm saying, to
Most
it.
definitely. Most
And then
definitely.
yeah, man,
Are
from
you
there.
are you connecting with any artists directly from Nigeria right now, or Ghana, or any place on the continent?
Nah, man, I'm not. I'm not. If you know anyone, man, please let me know.
Oh,
Like
there's no shortage of them. Matter of fact, we're gonna have some of them on this show soon.
okay,
South
sick.
Africa, Cameroon, Nigeria. So yeah, but we connected with a lot of artists in Africa. So definitely love to make the connection because
Yeah,
your
that's dope, man.
production and their vibe would definitely be magic.
Yeah, that's dope. That's
Definitely
dope.
be
Yeah, I'm
magic.
with it. I'm with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into the next track. It's called Massive. That sounds once again like their dancehall influence, cause that's like a word like the massive, mind them.
Massive. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
all
Yeah,
right. So
man.
let's
No
get into
doubt.
Massive Bombay. This is the beat tape called Zine. Zine. All of us understand. All right, let's do it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Other than the obvious, as I said, the dance hall influence, is there anything else about that track that kind of we need to know about?
Yeah, like that one, like I was listening to like a lot of like Sango,
Mm.
like during that time. I just like that kind of garage pattern,
Right, 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 right.
like that little UK thing. I was just trying to do something different with the drums, man. And yeah, as you guys know, man, I'm a jazz R&B head like as well. So like I just like those really nice chords that like just kind of sit in because a lot of the beats I make too, there's just like I like to have artists on them. So
Right.
I like to give a lot of space so that just like they can do their thing and then from there we can move forward and do some post stuff,
Okay.
add some other stuff to it,
Is
you
there
know.
any other genres that we wouldn't expect that you also mess with? I've heard the
Oh
funk, I've
man.
heard salsa, I've heard the reggae, I've heard the Afro beats, I've heard, I think I mentioned jazz. Is there any other genres that you mess with that we probably wouldn't expect that you would be interested in?
Metal. I like metal a lot. I like metal.
Wow.
I like metal. Yeah, man. When I was a kid, I used to when I started playing drums. Like most of my school friends were into metal. Like we didn't have not many people knew like funk music or jazz music,
Right,
right? Like I knew a little bit of it, but like when I wanted to play the drums, was like a period of my life where like I got introduced to metal and like rock,
right,
right? So that's like Judas Priest, Megadeth, Metallica,
right,
man, like and like Mastodon, like all these weird bands that people would have been like, yo, what? Like,
right, right, right,
but like, dude, that's how I learned how to play drums like proficient because it's like I had like a double bass pedal and I would like literally like play the drums and stuff like that.
it's
And then yeah,
no, go
man.
ahead, go
And then,
ahead.
like, yeah, and then like so from like that, like when I started playing like more funk music, it was more like about the feel of it, right? And just like when you play metal, like metal is very intricate, and I just like the sounds, like it's just pure aggression, pure emotion, you know what I mean?
Right,
And like yeah, man, like when I started listening to a lot of metal and started picking apart like like pair dribbles and how they do like their drums, right? From there, like when I started like do my own breaks, it kind of became like second nature. I
right.
self-taught myself like how to play the drums because it was like teachers there wouldn't let you really like they wouldn't really teach you how to play drums like a metal drummer, right?
Right, right,
That was more like basics. And I was like, nah, I want to go straight to the top, bro. Like I
right,
don't
right,
want
right. Oh, that's dope. That's
to
dope.
go crazy.
It's funny because a lot of people, if you've been in Toronto for a period of time, I would say like 10, 20 years at least, you can't deny that rock had an influence on you and your sound. Like, I don't care how much hip hop head you think you are. If you've been in Toronto for a minute, you have some rock influence, some pop influence, metal influence. You are at least familiar with it because that's a part of going out to clubs and bars and school and, just hearing it, TV, whatever. So most producers in Toronto, especially the more the ones who are a little bit older, they all have that influence. They can all go down some rock easily, some metal with you and chop it up,
Yeah.
Instrument wise, what other instruments are you familiar with playing?
So yeah, right now I'm learning to play the keyboard a little bit more, like trying like different chords and stuff. And then besides that, yeah, the drums and like learning more about grooves and I've always been like a what's the word? Like I always like to use technology to really like process signals and doing stuff like that. But like yeah, man, right now I've just been focused more on like sound design and keyboards.
Okay.
Just like making sure like like the sounds are like interesting and different to me.
Right.
And then like the chords, when you have more accessibility, like knowing what to play, then it's just like takes your stuff to the next level.
Right. That's dope. I mean, it always helps. The more tools you have in your toolkit, the better your arsenal is.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into another track. This track is called "Oh Wow." This is off the Zine beat tape from Bombay. Out now, all platforms.
Yeah, right now it's gonna be on Bandcamp on Friday.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put like all the paperwork. So I think you need like a month in advance for Spotify.
Right.
Just so like it gets on the playlist. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on Bandcamp on Friday.
Okay.
I want you guys to hear it first.
This Friday on Bandcamp, the Zine beat tape from Bombay. This is track 5. This is called "Oh Wow." Let's get it.
Let me hear a drum
That's crazy. I gotta ask you. You make like so far 5 for 5 bangers. Do you ever make a beat that's just totally whack and it's like, nah, that's out
Of course, of course. Crazy question, man. Of course, I make whack stuff. So, but then whack is so. That's actually crazy because whack is such a weird term because like I might make a beat, I think it's whack, but then my homie might listen to it and they'd be like, "Yo, that's fire. Why did you play this first?"
Right.
And then it'd be vice versa. I think the beat's crazy, and my homie be like, "Yeah, it's cool." It's all perception.
Right. Right.
Like, but you know what, man? Like, honestly, every beat that you make, is just a progression of your style, right? Because it's like you hit the gym, you're hitting the studio, you're hitting like your DAW every day. Yeah, so like whack is such a weird term. It's more like a lesson. Like you're just like you might mess around, do some weird chords, but hey, you learn that those chords don't work, but now you can move on to the next. You feel me? Like
correct.
Whack beats, man. Probably like when I first started, But even then, I heard them back, and I love that. I was like, yo. I was like, cause when you're started making beats, you don't think too much, You're like, yo, it's a vibe.
Right.
And then like as you keep doing it, you're like, oh, I like my style to be like this way. I always get jealous about like, I'm like, damn, I wish it was like back in the day when I first started making music because like I was not an overthinker, I just put stuff and boom, boom, boom,
Right.
But yeah, man, no such thing as a whack beat to me, But
Dope.
yeah.
Do you make a distinction between a battle beat and a song beat, and how do you differentiate the two for yourself? Like, what's your process of saying, okay, that one I'm gonna keep for a battle, this one I'm gonna use for whatever other means?
Yeah. So like battle beats usually so like for example, like Massive would not be like a battle beat. That's just like a song beat, you know, because like whenever I make beats, like usually I start with the drums because like I like my drums to slap.
Right.
Going back to like living in the Middle East, we always used to drive cars. So we used to listen to a lot of music in whips. So, you know, if the drums don't hit in your car speaker, it's a wash, bro. You know, in my opinion, because like I like every. I remember like I heard like Timbaland stuff for the first time on the car,
Right.
like I was like, yo, like the sub, you know, it's crazy. So like when it comes to battle beats and like just like song beats, I think song beats you have more leeway. Battle beats, I feel like you have like a minute, right, or like 45 seconds. So you got to like structure your stuff to like have like switch ups and to make it like super interesting, you know? And it has to bang in those speakers, bro.
Right.
Like they just has to bang. And there's a vibration to it. Like, you know, like if like the beat doesn't bang in the speaker and it doesn't get people like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. It doesn't make
Right.
people feel good, doesn't elicit an emotion, then it's kind of like, nah, I wouldn't use that. But like when it comes to song beats, man, you have way more leeway because like man, you can't play like a record that you made for like Sinead Harriet, like a ballad. You can't play that in the battle beat, even though the beat's dope. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So you have to like definitely, I think just experience too, right? Like
Okay.
I did so many beat battles with you guys and just in the
Right.
US too. It's
Right.
like you just know, okay, yeah, I got to use these. I can't use these. You know?
Right. Right. What has battling done in general for your sound? Has it enhanced it in any ways? Like what did you walk away with after the battle, other than whatever happened at the battle? As far as how does it enhance your sound or change
Like
or
I
you?
definitely feel like when it came to like just like performances and stuff like that, like I started curating my like I started thinking more about like learning theory, like learning more about music theory, learning about like what gets people going, like what gets them a little bit more hyped up, you know?
Right.
Whenever I used to do shows in Atlanta and stuff like beat sets, I used to curate my stuff to get people like dancing more. You know what I mean? Like I think the
That's
last show we
dope.
did was in October in Atlanta and like I usually used to have my sets be like boom bap, right? Like just like head nod stuff.
Right.
And we went to Atlanta. I think after the battle, like it was in I think like September or something when we did the last battle in 2019, right?
Right.
And yeah, so after that battle, I was like, okay, I want to curate my set to be a little bit different because all my homies are boom bap heads. So I started doing more dance stuff, and I just put that into my set, and like I just made sure, okay, yo, the drums, that's just like my thing. The drums slap,
Right.
and then just everything just makes people like groove, you know.
Right.
And then from there, bro, like I remember seeing like everybody went to the dance floor. Everybody was pop locking and dropping. They were doing like spins and
Crazy.
stuff. So I
Crazy.
was like, yo, this is dope. This is what I want to do, right? Because
Right.
it's a positive emotion. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And like from there, I was like, okay, this is the stuff like I think I need to start focusing more on. You feel me?
Right.
Like
Right. Speaking of
doesn't
that,
have
you
yeah.
seem like the producer that's not so much concerned with what's on the radio or what's the hot trend. You're comfortable creating your own lane, creating your own niche and what vibes with you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, yo, I listen, yo, yeah, it's true. I make what I like. At the same time, like I also like to make like ignorant stuff too, man. Like that's the stuff I haven't really shown people
Right.
is like the really like ratchet kind of like city girls
Right.
kind of
Right.
vibe. But then I always add my own style to it. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
the like just like do my own thing with it. But yeah, man, like I music like especially now, dude, there's so much accessibility to do what you want, right? Like
Right.
you don't necessarily have to hit the radio. I rather work with 10 artists that I just respect musically and I know like, yo, we all just vibe on a good level,
Right.
than just work with one person that I'm just like, I have to make a beat like this, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Unless, yeah. I'd rather work with 10 people and I feel in my heart that, yo, this music hits me in a certain place and I know for a fact is gonna affect people in a certain way too, right? Because
Right.
that's for me it's like a long game. I
Okay.
rather make music that makes me feel great and makes other people feel great too,
True.
than just something
True.
that's like, yeah.
What are the dolls of choice for you?
Right now, well, like I have an MPC Live, and I use Ableton 10, and I'm probably getting Ableton 11 like next week or the week after. Yeah.
Right. Okay. No FL in the arsenal.
I used to use FL back in the day, man. Yeah, I used to, but
Yeah.
like now, man, not anymore.
Okay.
Ableton, like those guys converted me, dude. You know, like they just put me onto this path of Ableton, and
Okay.
like it's crazy because FL was such a awesome. I had a lot of fun using FL back in the day, and when I started using Ableton, it was tough. This was like YouTube was kind of popping, but it wasn't like how it is now. Like you have tutorials like everywhere.
Right.
It was like I had to figure everything out myself, right? And I'm like, yo, with Ableton, like I figured out okay how to put sounds. And then I'm like, oh, yo, you can do this, you can do that, and it
Right.
just kept going and going. And then like from there, I just kind of stuck with it, and I still learn more about Ableton to this day. I actually have the manual with me on my desk just in case like
Okay.
I need to check something out, and like highlight, make notes and
Right. Right.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get to the next track. It's called Pink Sprinkles. But before we get that, we have a question in the chat. What does Bombay think when he's making beats? What is he thinking, or is it random? So I guess they want to know what your thought process is when you're making a beat. Is it just a random thing, or are you thinking about something specific when you make a beat?
Nah, I just like yo. So usually I start my day listening to music, right? So I try. It's funny. Every time I try to think about a beat I want to make, it doesn't turn out like, in my opinion, it doesn't turn out how I want it to turn out. I don't like it, right? I prefer just going as riding a wave. So like usually I would listen to like boogie records or like funk records in the morning, right? When I wake up, just to get me on like a good mood. And then
Right.
from there, like I would start to just like mess around with stuff like that. Like start messing around with like percussion, drums, making drum sounds, things like that, messing
Okay.
with chords. And then from there, like it just kind of tumbles down. But I really try my best not to have an idea what I want to make,
Right.
because then you start to overthink it, and that's what, like, this is my thing. I overthink a lot of my production, right?
Okay.
So I rather not. I rather just be like, boom, listen to some great music, and then just start making the stuff that you want to make. You feel me?
Right.
Doesn't have when you start saying like, yo, I want my track to sound like a City Girls beat, but then it needs to have like this kind of vocal and like this kind of chord. Now you're just like, yo, now you have all these parameters that you have to fill out compared to just being like, I'm just gonna make some stuff, I'm gonna
Got
make
you.
some stuff,
Got you. Got you. Just let it
and have
flow.
fun with it.
Okay. This is Pink Sprinkles, track 6 off of the Zine beat tape from Bombay. Let's do it. Are you or were you ever going for a signature sound? Because that sounds, I hate to say it, but it sounds very Bombay-ish. If I had 10 producers in a room and they said, pick who you think made that, that sounds like your type of vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, man, like I said, like I just like a certain style of beats, right? Like I'm just influenced by what I like. Like you go through my playlist, you kind of you kind of figure out like, okay, yo, that's what he likes. That's what
Right,
I like.
right,
Same with the drums, and yeah, man. It's funny because like I listen to like the Neptunes a lot, right? And a lot of their beats, like it's the same thing. You would hear like a Neptunes beat, you'd be like, yo, that's them,
right, right, right,
And even like the stuff they make now, I'm be like, yeah, that's like Pharrell and Chad. And then like I go
right.
in the view credits, and I'm like, yep. And same with K Tronada. Man. Shout out to K Tronada because
Very,
he's
very
insane.
dope.
Super dope. And then like it's the same thing with him, right? Because his stuff, it sounds like K Tronada. Bro, I can listen to a beat and I'm like, yo, that's K.
Right,
Okay, dope.
right,
It's a
right,
sense, right? And
right,
all right, cool. But
right,
yeah,
right.
man. Yeah.
Was it something you set out to do that, or it just happened?
just happen, man. All my
Okay.
beats just happen. Like they just like I'm just like having fun with the
Right.
drums and just getting the groove first, and then just like adding chords,
Right.
and then from there just like doing little 1-2 sprinkles, like. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, man.
Let's get into track 7. It's called SCR.BAST.FLIP. Shout out to Scratch Bastard, one of the dopest
Yes, yes,
DJs
yes,
out
yes.
of Toronto. If you've never been to a Scratch Bastard barbecue, it's definitely something to experience. But this is SCR.BAST.FLIP off the Bombay beat tape. Let's do it. Let's jump right into it. That's crazy. Those are vibes. Those are like 401 beats that you just hop on the 401
Yeah.
Ajax and go straight to Mississauga nonstop. Just vibing.
Yes, yeah,
Go
man,
straight
yeah.
across the city. We got somebody that says in the chat they played "Settle Down" for hours. So I'm assuming that's another track you did called "Settle Down."
Yeah, man. Oh, thank you so much, man.
Right.
That was, I think it was on my last beat tape. Yeah, Settle Down. That was like the way I made that one, man. I think I just got a new percussion set and I was just messing around with stuff,
Right.
bro. And, like the beat was crazy.
Right.
I was more proud of like the drum elements and the percussion of it. But yeah, yo,
Okay.
shout out to that. Who was that? I'm not on the
Michael Pigon.
Yo, Michael P. Gon. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Right. Right. Now, as far as Scratch Bastard, how did that come together, and why did you choose that track to flip?
So Scratch Bastard was part of the like the loop, one of the loop sessions, which is in Toronto. Shout out to
Right.
Loop Sessions.
Right.
And basically, like I've been doing loop sessions since like they first started, man. So since we started doing it on Zoom, I saw Scratch Bastard was doing it, and I went to the barbecue parties, and I'm like, yo, I gotta do this one, right?
Right.
And yeah, from there, man, like he picked the sample. And then from there, like we all have to like show our flips, right? And I think I made that one in like a day before the event. But like it was just one of the ones I had to put on my tape because like I just loved the way I flipped it. It was amazing.
Right,
like
right.
because I was like, it's like the sample. I remember we had like the Zoom call, and everybody was like, "Yo, I didn't know how to flip it. I didn't know how to do this and that." But yo, this is the cool thing about music theory, man. You can, once you find the key of something, you can make it however you want, bro, which is
Right.
crazy.
Right.
Because like as you heard, like the beginning was a sample, and I just added like these chords to it, and I'm like, damn, like
There you have it.
this sounds fly,
Right. Right.
So yeah, man, that was basically, and I showed it to Scratch Bass, and he was like, yo, boom, he loved that,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, that's just sick.
Right. Crazy. Salute to Scratch Bastard once again.
So cool. Yeah.
Let's get into track number 8. This is called The Feature. And we're going to see what it sounds like. The Feature, track 8 off the beat tape Zine. Off of Bombay's beat tape, out now on Friday on Bandcamp. Check it out. The Feature. Those drums are like stupid knocking, like crazy knocking. What
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned the whip sound test. What other outlets do you use for your sound test?
So so usually like I'll go to the studio. I'll turn on like we have a set of speakers
Right,
that they're like speakers they use in the club.
right.
So usually like I'll when I'm like making the beat, I'll actually have them on. So like I can hear the sub of my kick. And
Okay,
once from there, like once I start having that, I'm like, okay, boom, the kicks are dope. And then once I finish the track, I do a little mix down and I do like a quick master of it. I'll turn everything up and I'll just stand back and be like, okay, cool, you
right,
know? And then sometimes like I'll go in my homie's car and like I'll just be like, hey man, do you mind if I just plug in the aux real quick?
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then we'll just play the beats and we'll see how they sound. But I don't
Okay,
do that as much as I used to. I think I usually do that like when like we're doing like an album or something, right? So
right.
like if I'm doing it like I have a solo project, I have a project with Ice, the one just coming out. So we did that like we literally like drove around the city and we heard the track list from like front to back and we're like, bro,
Right,
like everything.
right,
I was like to him like, dude, everything needs to slap. Like if it doesn't slap to me, I'm like I need to go back and I need to fix some things. You know what I mean?
right,
But yeah, man, usually whip test. Usually then we use like the subs at the studio, like the club speakers.
right.
And then like they have I have the sub pack too, right? So like if I'm like playing music at home,
Okay,
I'll just put the sub pack on, and
right.
then I'll just mess around with the bass response,
Okay,
and then from there like I'll just start tuning stuff and be like, okay, yeah, cool, boost this, cut that,
right.
things like that, you know?
Timberland is
But yeah.
supposed to be working on a sub pack too. That's it's supposed to be next level, according
Sorry,
to
say that again.
Timberland.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He's working on
yeah.
a sub pack that according to him is next level. Like you just, I don't know how you do it. You carry it or put it on your hand or something like that. But it's supposed to be like crazy, like like you're in a club, but it's within your body somehow. So I look forward to it. I heard him talk about it a little bit about a week ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to Timbo dropping that next level invention called the sub pack, I think it's called. All right, let's get into track 9. This is called Vibers. Off of the beat tape that's dropping this Friday on Bandcamp. This is Bombay. This is the beat tape breakdown. We got one more track after this, but let's get into this one. It's called Vibers. Let's do it. Proper title,
Yeah, man.
Vibers. Proper
That
title.
was I made that in the summertime. This is like I think we were in third phase, dude. And I was like, oh wow, I was DJing and I was like everybody was having a good time, man.
Right,
And I was like, yo, I really hope this I feel like this year, man, if we get back into normalcy, whoo, it's gonna be
right,
fun. It's
right.
gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
normalcy is the key word. If we ever get back to it, we don't know if we will, but we hopefully we will. With your production, give me some artists that you ideally would like to work with. Somebody that like you just feel like your production and them would just be hand in glove.
Oh man, that's so oh dude, like so just like locally, start with local artists first, like shit, like Sean Leon, um,
Dope,
working with like Junior T. I've done a couple
dope.
joints with Junior. And then like Drake, of course, just like because I'm just like I'll bring my own sauce to it.
Right.
A lot of like a Looney is another artist, like R&B artist. I would love to do some stuff with her. Worldwide, man, Masego. I would love to do some stuff with Wizkid,
Mm.
Alex Isley. Uh, Yeah, man. Van Yes. There's loads, man. There's like a whole list. And like I
Right.
also want to do some more like I want to kind of also go back to the hip hop stuff, like with Benny and Conway and like
Right.
30S Special. Because you know, I feel like I can really give them something really different compared to what they're getting right
Right.
now,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's something that's like a personal thing. I just want to be in the studio, just in the dingy studio in Buffalo making beats with them, you know?
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
it's just
It's funny you
it's a
mentioned
vibe.
that. Do you think the atmosphere of the studio changes the sound of it? Like the fact that you mentioned dingy, so
Oh,
you have to be in that
dude.
vibe to capture that vibe.
Oh, 100%, man.
Okay.
I used to live I used to live at Sherborne and Carlton when I
Ah.
first moved.
Right.
Bro, so all my beats were like mad, like they were mod, like they
Right.
were like just reflected the energy I was at
Right.
because that neighborhood was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Davisville, which is like up I'm like uptown, right? So
Right.
right now it's kind of like it's like a family neighborhood. And
Right.
like definitely my beats got a little bit, you know, it's not bad, but it's also growth in myself, right?
Right.
Where like they became a little bit more mellow, a little bit more chord heavy. But
Right.
yeah, man, the studio for sure. If you're around like if you're in a vibration of just like everybody is just like out to make it and they have their pen and pads ready and they're from the streets, but they have a code of ethics. You as a producer, you can feel that because we're all empaths, right? So we're
Right.
like, okay, bam, I feel what you're saying, boo. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But then
That's
if you're in
crazy.
this, you know, bro. But then if you're working with an R&B artist and you guys have like candles and stuff, like incense laid around, there's no way I'm gonna make a boom bap beat. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
it's
Right.
gonna be a vibe. Like, but yeah, 100%, man. The studio
Okay.
matters, man.
Very
Crazy.
interesting. Very interesting. All right, we're down to the last track off of the Zine beat tape. Bombay dropping this Friday on Bandcamp. Everybody, make sure you check that out. This beat is a track called Voltron, which is a feature with I King or One
Yeah,
King,
One
Junior
King, yeah.
T, and Tink. Anything you wanna let us know about this track before we drop it? With the
Yeah,
collab.
man. No, this was a crazy. This is what we call like a Voltron session, which is like we usually we used to do this like late night. You know what I mean? So I think we cooked this up like I think like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and then I had my camera with me, so I was like recording footage and stuff like that, and just from the beat, it happened like this. Like you know when like you're in a session, the beats just happen,
Just the
like the
vibe.
music just flows, bro.
Right.
And like I'm just like I got the camera out, I'm hitting the tambourine with one hand, throwing the tambourine, recording my homie play the keyboard,
Wow. Wow.
getting the clap, and I'm like getting the camera again.
Right.
And then yeah, man. And then from there, like I think Junior had the session. I'm like, bro, I want to put this out. Can you send it to me?
Right.
And then from there, I just added like a little 1-2 sauce. And yeah, man,
Okay.
it came out fire.
It's important to capture all those moments because you never know where that track will go. That track could take off, and then it's like you will wish you had captured the whole energy around the creation of it. So it's important to capture all those studio sessions so people can see the behind the scenes of what could become a potential hit one day. But let's jump into it. Voltron, Bombay, final track for tonight. This is the beat tape breakdown, and let's drop it. Magic. That's magic. That's
Yeah,
magic.
that was a crazy beat, man. That was that like even that this day I'm like I pull up the Instagram and I'm like, yo, I can't believe we made this. Like it
Right,
was
right.
dope. Yeah, it was a vibe.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. Shout out to One King, Junior T, and Tink. Yeah, Junior T is crazy with it. He's been back in the day battling way back. But salute to Junior T for his come up has been crazy. So
Oh yeah.
salute to everybody. Salute to Bombay. Thank you for coming through.
Yo, thank you, man.
Previewing the whole beat tape, letting people know what it is. Drops this Friday on Bandcamp and soon to be on Spotify, and I'm sure Apple and Tidal and all the other ones. But salute once again. Next beat tape, happy to have you back.
For sure, man. Thank you, bro.
All right. Salute. Signing off. This is the Beat Tape Breakdown. My name is Clifton. We'll be back shortly with Solo, representing California, Long Beach, California. Any producers that want to jump on, battleofthebeatmakers.com, or hit us up on IG at World Beat Battle. Email us, info@Sound Supremacy. Many different ways to reach us. We're not hard to find. But we're signing off for now. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with Solo, once again representing California. And at 4 o'clock, we'll have Unknown representing Seattle. So stay tuned. Taking a quick break. We'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. All right? Salute.